You're watching New Car Spin. It is a windy day, so I'll make this short. That is the Toyota Avalon TRD. You can tell because it's got this ridiculous black trim for ground effects on the bottom, kind of NASCAR-esque. It's got the lip spoiler and the TRD logo. You'll also see the TRD exhaust on both sides, which is really cool. It sounds great. And you'll also see, and this won't be when you're at the golf course, because you won't be taking this to the golf course, the Avalon TRD trunk floor mat and the red piping on it. There's no handle to close this trunk lid, but I guess you just have to get your fingers dirty. Don't know why Toyota overlooked that, especially when they make Lexuses. The other clue here that this is a TRD Avalon is the bigger wheels, the red brake calipers, and it's a nice Infiniti Q50. You'll also see the trim here at the front of the bumper too, and that weird design actually includes some lips here, so I don't know, it's kind of interesting in curb-like situations. Are you going to regret that? I don't know, but let's do something real quick. Let's get in here. You'll see more Avalon sills that light up at night. That's an option. You'll see the Toyota Avalon TRD and the red striping on the floor mats. You'll see red stripe and red stitching on the seats, and the TRD logo on the front seats, and of course the red seat belts. So this is not Grandpa's Avalon. This is basically Toyota's OK Boomer moment, because you won't be seeing this Avalon, or any of the new Avalons in fact, at any garage sale. They won't be pulling up. They're not going to be at the yard sale, the estate sale, the garage sale. It's not going to be this car anymore. It might be the Nissan Maxima, but we'll talk about that later. What do I have? I've got a sunroof. I've got a 1200 watt JBL sound system. That's optional. Pretty much only two options on here. And of course there is the Toyota TRD setup. Let me start this engine and you'll hear what this TRD can do. Let me just pause this video. Okay, I purposely didn't show the startup sequence because it sweeps the gauges and shows an animation, but worst of all is most of the new cars, when they turn on their airbags, sensors, and everything that happens, messes up the audio on the camera. So what would happen is my audio gets out of sync. So I don't edit my shots, I just keep going. And this is how I roll here on New Car Spin. So I'm not going to ask to like and subscribe my video. You know what to do. If you like my channel, like this video, like this car, like. And if you don't, get out of here. Anyway, looks like I got some stuff on my lens there. Let's fix that. We have power windows, power locks. Interestingly here, we have dual glazing on the windows. So this car is extremely quiet when you're on the freeway. Very thick glass as well. One thing that the Toyota TRD has is this exhaust system. So it's the same 3.5 liter V6 you get in the other Avalons. And let me open the door here and give you a little sampling of it. Even with all this wind and noise outside, you'll still hear the exhaust. Give these aluminum pedals a little bit of a push. Oh yeah. This thing is a nice, free revving, naturally aspirated 301 horsepower V6 engine. And we're going to take it on this freeway. We're just going to head that way. We do have a few modes here I want to talk about. We've got Eco, which is basically when your fuel light comes on, that's your pray button. Normal, which is what the car defaults to when you start it up. And then Sport, which in the TRD doesn't really do much that I can tell from. Because in the normal touring, you get an adaptive suspension. In the TRD, it's already about a half-inch lower and 10% stiffer than the normal Avalon. So I prefer the touring over that because in the touring you can actually change modes. And as a daily driver it makes sense. But here in the TRD, which there are only going to be 2,500 of them, so that's about 50 per state, what you get in the TRD Avalon is turnkey performance. So you're not going to see Grandpa and Grandma driving this vehicle at all. So what this car says to me is, I'm 37, 38, I just paid off my student loans, and now it's time to show the world how well educated I am, and I'm going to buy something sensible and sporty, and no one's going to know about it. So let me give you an example of what that means. I'll get my seatbelt on here, and we'll go for a ride. One thing I do like is the stitch here is in the armrest over to the right, and that's actually centered to the cup holders here. And what that stitch over here means is that when my elbow is down, it's not interrupted by the stitch. I don't know how I can show you that. There we go. So as I'm driving along, I don't have anything bothering me. This is going to bother the passenger instead of me. Really cool too is there's a tray down here. It's kind of hard to see with this setup, but in there is a tray where you can put your phone and your stuff. But it also slides forward to reveal wireless charging down in there. And you can basically put your phone down in there. It'll wirelessly charge. And then you have a spot here to store other things. And I tried this out. You know, you basically have about ½ an inch here. If you put your someone else's phone there, for instance, you can still slide this forward, and it will slide in underneath there as like a hidden drawer. That's really cool. The Camry does that too, and I like that because for daily drivability, that's good to have. These air vents in this location are a little weird. The interior here actually doesn't look as nice as the Camry, in my opinion. But it is a touchscreen, and you do have a lot of control here, and it is logically laid out. It's a bit of a reach, and I think, you know, that's a personal thing, so I'll just gloss over all that. We do have some stuff here, buttons, and we have more buttons. And of course, these buttons are radar cruise, different modes for the stereo, that kind of stuff, your typical thing. And then, of course, your controls for the screen in the center. I'm not going to bore you about that. Let's just drive this puppy. So we'll put it in reverse. We get the reverse camera, and there is no digital backup beeping. There's no backup sensors. Maybe there are. I don't know. I've never triggered them. This is a front-wheel drive. And in 2021, there will be an all-wheel drive version of it. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. What I'm going to do is let that go by. I'm going to put this in sport mode. So when I press that button, you can see it goes into sport. So you get the red line down there and the sport icon or the verbiage there. And you're going to watch this thing accelerate. It accelerates very nicely. And Grandma and Grandpa, I would say it wouldn't be safe for them to have a vehicle this fast. Okay, let's go. Oh, frickin' A. Look at that. We're in Austin. The traffic has stopped. Well, that just ruined my video. Welcome to Austin, everybody. We're technically exactly in the city of Austin at this point. Where I was called Onion Creek, which is the very edge. Oh my God. Well, we're not going to go in the traffic because I'm not a masochist. But at the same time, we're going to keep this film going because I know you guys love these videos. I usually do road trips, and today I'm not going to do a road trip because that is ridiculous. And I would normally say, hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday. There's only one thing I do in Austin on Super Bowl Sunday, and that's what nobody else does. And that means I'm going to go to Franklin Barbecue. But right now it's about 8 miles away, and there's no way I'll make it in 10 minutes. Look at that, even the side road is stopped. Well, I'm going to cut this video short then. No road trip for you. We can see, of course, the traffic here on the map. And it is dead stopped in both directions. So that's lovely. This is why I don't review cars in Austin anymore. Unfortunately, I chose Austin this time and, well, I lost. But nothing says we can't continue to hoon the Avalon, right? So we have this exhaust on this vehicle. It's a TRD exhaust. TRD, of course, meaning Toyota Racing Development. And that's the cherry on the cake here. This thing is very nice to listen to, and it's not overwhelming. It's just the right, perfect amount. As opposed to the TRD Pro 4Runner that I had that sounded like a 20-year-old Ford Explorer with a blown exhaust. This Avalon TRD sounds supreme. So once this light turns green, we're going to go for it. Of course, we have front-wheel drive, so I can't really rip it. But I'd love to in all-wheel drive. I'm sure this would be fully capable. Okay, still at the red light. One car. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, good, it's green. Wheel spin, of course. No torque steer. Sounds great. Okay, going plenty fast. And, yeah, it's kind of like a shocker because I don't expect a Toyota of all vehicles to behave like this. I wish I could really get you to see it on camera, but with the stiffer suspension, the lower ride height, I don't really care for the ground effects package on the outside, but on the inside it's decent. Although, with the Touring, you would get rear heated seats and a heated steering wheel. You do not get that in the TRD. So if my money was on the desk, I would definitely take a Touring over a TRD. And I'm not really sure if TRD is going to have a better resale value or be more special, but you're damn sure this is fuck you money. This is, I would buy one of these, and I would get a custom plate, and it would say, "Okay, Boomer," because that's what Toyota just did. They went, "Okay, Boomer." And I don't know where that demographic, those 60, 70, 80-year-old people are going to go. But it makes total sense. It's like you spend your whole life saving money and you go and retire and you buy an economical car. And that's what ruined Toyota's vision. I mean, Toyota came back with the Supra. Toyota's got that Camry, and they got a TRD Camry, and they've got all these off-road vehicles. But their luxury flagship has always just been an old fart. Like a Cadillac. This thing just goes. And what I have to be honest about here is the brakes. These are bigger brakes. They don't feel any better than what came on the Touring. So that's some good feedback for you. Front wheel drive though, it's not my performance setup. It's not my idea of a performance setup, but it doesn't disappoint. I mean, the car isn't floating around. It's not hard to control. It's really, the only hard thing is to keep the power applied smoothly enough to keep it from peeling out, because there's just that much power in this. Even though there's less than 300 pound-feet of torque, the 301 horsepower, which is the same as the Maxima and the same as the Lexus ES350. There's another V6 vehicle out there I can't think of right now. Oh, probably the Chrysler 300. Their V6 version at least. What you're getting here is a more sensible car, and it's got tech. Although you can use the radar cruise and it will come to a complete stop and things like that. The lane keep assist doesn't work below certain speeds, and it is pretty annoying. It's almost archaic, so I'm glad there's a button to turn it on and off right here. Otherwise, what we're going to do, and instead of going to Franklin's today, we're going to go to Valentina's Barbecue. We're in Austin. There's a lot of cool stuff to check out. And, me personally, having lived in Austin for a while before I got fed up with it, it's great to come back here and visit and say hello to all the crazy people and partake in the nonsense that is the Austin culture. Like, they're not busy. That's a sketchy looking place too. I've never been there yet. But the really good barbecue is called Valentina's, and luckily they've moved further south, so I have a better shot of getting a hipster-free barbecue experience. Anyway, speaking of hipsters, I think that's who this car is for in the future. And it's kind of the same thing, like those hipster millennials with all that college debt, and then you've got all these retirees who just, they saved all this money and they don't want to spend it, which makes no sense. They should be buying Corvettes. They should be buying a Charger RT Scat Pack for about $45,000. But instead, they go out and they get an Avalon and they drive real slowly and they park terribly. And, it's just your typical Avalon experience. And I'm so glad that Toyota did this. I'm so glad Toyota made the Avalon scary. I'm very happy for them. And I hope this pays off, because one thing I do know is that the Maxima disappointed me with their CVT and lack of all-wheel drive. And what did Nissan do? They didn't fix that. I bitched about it for years. They didn't do anything, Steve. What they did instead was they put all-wheel drive in the Altima. And of course now Nissan's got their huge problems. So, I wish them all the best. But Toyota doesn't have that kind of problem. Toyota doesn't have the money problems of Nissan. What Toyota has instead is a great department of engineers. And their designers are pretty good. And if you look in here, like, this doesn't look like a cheap interior at all. The Camry interior is a little bit better, just because it looks more like a Audi than this. This looks more like a Lexus. But I guess that's the whole point. You get the Avalon because you want to go up market and get your money's worth. And at 45 grand, there's a lot of options out there. All right, so here we are at Valentina's, which isn't so hipster free today. There's a freaking line. Well, I'm not waiting in that line, and I'm not even able to find parking here. That's another problem. Anyway, I guess I'll just go to Wendy's. I should have bought Wendy's stock back in 2013 when I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't. God, you gotta go all the way down here to turn around. Anyway, the Toyota Avalon TRD is a really nice sedan. Even on this gravel road here, it feels really smooth. And this exhaust makes it sound, well, like a V6. It actually is a V6. You'll notice too, well, you hear little pebbles and rocks kicking up, but you don't hear any rattles on this rough road. This thing it's endowed with a really nice suspension system. Even though this isn't the adjustable one like you get in the Touring, it is still a very solid, very sporty feeling. It feels like a BMW. I'm not going to lie to you. And it sounds like a BMW used to sound like. A nice 6-cylinder, even though the BMWs are inline and this is a V. Let's not get technical here. This still sounds like a very nice, throaty V6, like a BMW used to sound like 10 years ago. So, if you are in your 40s, you're going to remember those sounds and you're going to like this vehicle because of that sort of like nostalgic, sporty essence that this thing has. And now I'm going to grab some lunch somewhere and leave you with this message. Buy one. And if you can't find a TRD, upgrade to the Touring, which costs less. And you're welcome. Make sure to test drive one. Definitely, if you haven't seen the new Avalon, if you haven't been in it, go do that. Drive the V6 Avalon and you'll be impressed. I was quite impressed. I thought, oh great, I get to drive a floaty couch and waste a lot of time looking for parking and all of a sudden have a desire to go to yard sales, but I didn't. It just sounds great. And that's what I'll say. You won't be disappointed. And of course, we've got the Toyota warranty and all that stuff to back it up. And now I'm too hungry and I'm just rambling. So you know what I'm going to do now. See ya!